Hey guys, good evening. We have a special guest joining in today. She is a lawyer by profession, by her education, and she is right now part of the National Commission, which actually takes care of women. She is a legal expert involved in reviewing the laws, capacity building, gender sanitization, etc. So, a lot of complicated things in law which I am not aware of, but yeah, she is right now working with Ministry of Home Affairs, assisting the Supreme Court committee on prisoner reforms, responsible for creating and developing surveys, research tools, training for prisoners, prison officials, and a lot of other policy making stuff. There are very few people who get this opportunity to work with the policymakers who basically view India at a different angle on the bird eyes view, and try to create things which is good for the society, and these norms which will have a lot of impact for the generations coming by. So thank you. Thanks a lot, Anvi, for joining in. It's a pleasure having you here because this is the first category of guest we have, a new friend we have who is into legal, proficiency, and also doing something like this, which is more on woman empowerment and creating policies. So maybe you can talk about more about it because I'm personally not very skilled in the category of your experience, but it's nice. You're basically living your passion, and it's nice to have people who are working on reforming and building a stronger India for future. Thank you. Please.
Sure. Okay, good evening. Namaste. Well, thank you so much, Ravi, for such a lovely introduction. I'm really humble and inviting me on such an enriching platform. So, well, coming from a small town and a beautiful town of Dehradun, advocating for gender justice and human rights, and a lawyer by profession, I am Avni. Well, if I need to talk about my story, I think it begins right from my school. Since my school days only, I was involved in social causes my school was part of. And I remember as a kid, I would always tell my father that, I don't want to study, I want to help people. And he would always counter me and explain that how education is important, how it will aid me and better equip me to contribute to the society. So law was never part of the plan. I never wanted to do law as such. During my graduation, I was an active member of the National Social Service Scheme, the NSS, which is running across the country. And then I volunteered for a lot of NGOs. I volunteered for a lot of causes like Narmada Bachao Andolan. I was working with Naxalite kids in Dantewara and also in a lot of institutional settings. Yeah. So I was doing that, and a realization dawned upon me that if I don't know about my own rights, how can I fight for the rights of others? That actually led me to do my law. So I did my LLB from Delhi University. Thereafter, I did a specialized LLM in access to justice from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. And yes, since then, it has been a journey. I've been working on women's rights. Of course, I was part for 3 years. I worked with the National Commission for Women. And there I did my myriad of tasks involving safeguarding and promoting the rights of women. And then right now, I'm currently assisting the Supreme Court Committee on Prison Reform. So I'm fighting for just and human rights for prisoners and a conducive environment for them.
Super. So how was the experience, overall experience? How was your day-to-day life getting changed because of the activities you're involved in?
Day-to-day life, of course, has definitely changed. I feel that I'm very lucky. And I also, on the other end, I can see the loopholes in the system. There's so many loopholes in the system. And then I feel if I ever get caught up, at least I know my way. And that's how I'm trying to help other people also. So it's definitely been an eye-opener, and I feel very lucky and protected and privileged. That's definitely there. But to add on, especially since my core task is to work with the prisoners. There's a lot, whenever somebody comes to, oh, tum jail gaye the, jail jate ho, pupils dilate, people get shocked, because people think it's a bad world, and thanks to our Indian media and cinema, how they have portrayed prisons as such. So it's not a bad world at all. There are people like you and me who commit a mistake. It's as simple as that. It's just that the gravity of the mistake is very high. That's the only problem. And law there does not talk about punishing them. It talks about reforming them. So now if you see, a lot of prisons are being named as correctional homes. You want to correct that person. You want to reform that person. And I have amazing story of reformation. So people get very shocked when they come to know, oh my God, there's a bakery running inside a prison. There's a handloom industry. There's a shoe factory. There are a number of factories. There's a salon. There's a beauty parlor. You name it and it's there. It's like a world on its own. So people get really shocked. So I remember having a cousin, and I got some cookies from one of the prisons in India, and he was like, he did not eat it. He said, no, they're bad people, and how, why do you go there? Why do you even talk to them? They deserve to be them because they have committed a crime. So I am now trying to change that perspective in a very minute way. People don't even know that there are open prisons in the country where a prisoner can work outside from morning till evening and come back in the prison and stay. So yeah, these are the things, and I feel very happy wherever. And I think this is also a medium where I'm trying to tell people about all this, because people are totally, it's entirely a different world altogether. Prisons is a different world. That's how people look at it, basically.
Yeah. So a lot of movies have spoiled the way we look at prisoners, and yeah, I think most importantly the way you mentioned about the work which they do, in the prison. Some of these handicrafts, some of these homemade stuff, or handmade stuff, I would say. Yeah, definitely it's a home for them, and that's how, based on what you're saying, it should be treated as a home for them, where they're getting reformed. I've seen a lot of, I mean, we bought a lot of stuff, like masks, sanitizers, and all that when the COVID started, and most of them were prepared
Right.
by prisoners, here in, I think, Cherlapalli, which is pretty famous in Hyderabad.
Yeah, Uttarakhand, I visited that. That's like one of
Yeah.
the, I think Telangana is one of the model states when it's come to prison reforms. So Telangana has amazing best practices, and there the prisoners are so free. Like they're doing horticulture, they're doing anything and everything under the sun. There's very little restriction on them,
Wow.
per to say.
That
Yeah.
that's
So
really
Telangana is
nice.
a model
Yeah,
state.
definitely. I think the perception, what we see in the movies and all that, should change. And yeah, I think what we are trying to teach is people would make mistakes, people would make blunders, but there is a second chance. There is a way, they can transform themselves and come back, with a clean sheet, and where they're also learning. I think I really like the way they're continuing their passion in the prison, though they're locked there. This is very exciting. I'm like really interested. It's very interesting to know what they're doing inside there. Like horticulture is something which people are really passionate about, and they're able to do it even
Yeah.
in the prison. Shows a very good message for the people outside. I mean, you have so much of freedom, you have so much of resources around you, and all that. Why can't we start something like this, like horticulture outside?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good, very, very nice,
Yeah, and
very
I
nice
think
insights.
Chanchalgura presents it outsourcing all these, they're running nurseries also inside, they're outsourcing. And I think a lot of petrol pumps are being run by
Yes.
prisoners in Hyderabad itself. So this is a new way. And in Kerala, if I tell you, Zomato is taking delivery. So the prisoners cook meals, and Zomato guy will come and take food and biryani and all, and then
Wow.
distribute it wherever the orders are there. And then even Tihar started like a restaurant sort of a thing. It's not running anymore. But yes, there have been
So
initiatives
you get to know what all states are doing, sitting there. That's how you're able to
yeah,
connect with all these.
I travel across the states. I go to prisons. I interact with the prisoners. I come to know about their problems. So I also visit prisons. That's how I'm so well
Okay,
versed with all
okay.
of
So
it.
that's how you're able to know. I thought it's just a survey which is published, and
Yeah.
you get to know. But you physically
No, no,
go
no.
to
I
all these
personally
prisons
go.
and check
Yeah.
how they're doing, pick up their best practices and all that. Maybe you can talk about
Yeah.
few best practices in of some of the states, which really motivated you, and they're like eye openers.
Eye-openers was definitely, as I mentioned right now, about the Telangana prisons itself, having let them being run up the petrol pump I mentioned.
Hmm.
See, petrol pump. So they're allowed to work from 10 to 5 outside the prison and run petrol pumps, and they are bringing huge amount of revenue to the government. The government is, in fact, I think there are around 17 petrol pumps, and the government is also, I think, considering even opening more petrol pumps. Then that is there. Then the Kerala is there, as I told about the restaurant. That is there. Then I think a lot of prisons are running not just handicraft industry. Tihar itself has a fashion academy. The
Hmm.
Pearl Fashion Academy itself is coming and training these inmates, and they are becoming fashion designers.
Wow.
So there's yeah, so there are an umpteen number of stories for that matter. In fact, Chanchalgura prison is also helping these inmates to do MA in psychology, which is very rare.
Hmm.
So mental health is one aspect which is totally untouched in the prisons, and it is being talked about. And among all the states, Telangana has definitely been the model state. And Rajasthan has been the pioneer of open prisons, like I mentioned. So the prisoners are allowed to go, like they have to attend their morning roll call around 5 a.m. in the morning. then they go and work. So most of them have either a part of South Indian or someone is working as guard. Can you
Mhm.
imagine a prisoner working as a guard at some place? So somebody is working as a guard, but they have to be back by 6 o'clock in the evening. So the society is also accepting them, and
Accepting.
there is an interface basically. This is what the open prison also tries, so that there is an interface between the prison world, the prisoners, and the society, because they have to eventually come back to the society, and their acceptance is very low. They leave. In fact, for most of them, it happens, especially for women, their husbands get remarried. The family stops coming to meet them, and they develop mental health issues. So instead of the prison, they have to be admitted into psychiatric homes. So that's how the situation is. So I think the prison departments are really doing wonders and really helping them to get engaged in some kind of vocation or the other. And the idea of vocation is not just to generate revenue for the prison itself, but also so that they can become self-sufficient. In fact, Telangana provides them money, and
Mm.
Telangana had a portal also where they had actually some prisoners were there on that portal for job portal. It's
Wow.
like a job portal. So जिनको job चाहिए, तो Telangana had made that portal. People can hire from that job portal.
That's awesome. That's a very great initiative.
Yeah.
But some of these initiatives, there are two, three aspects for some of these initiatives. Let's say, for example, Telangana, or you take Kerala. When they do something like this, which is unique, might be risky, sounds risky, but they stabilize on it. They have a couple of months where this is running smoothly, risk free, and all that. People have accepted it. It's really, that formula is really working well. One is basically people look for recognition, where like the central ministry, or the nation recognizes it and praises it, including media and all that. The second thing is, other states adopt this and try this on, because it's worked in Telangana and Kerala. So, have you seen any changes like this where other states have started at least listening to some of these stories and implemented at least a part of some of these suggestions back there? Because that is when the actual success is.
Yeah.
It's just not
Yeah.
recognition. एक award दे दिया तेलंगाना government को, ये एक award दे दिया
Uh,
Kerala government को, but taking this and implement. I think one of the things for you might be showcasing this to the other policy holders in the other states.
yeah, absolutely. You raised a very valid point, and that's why I always say before imitating international best practices, we should look at our own Indian best practices. And yes, there has been an interface, and most of the states are adopting the Telangana model. Kerala has also started with the petrol pump. So people are doing that. The government is very well aware of it, and even when we, as a medium, we also try to like spread these best practices from one prison to the other prison whenever we have meetings with them. So yes, even the government is very proactive. The prison department itself is also very proactive in that manner. So that is definitely happening.
So, what is the best compliment you have received from an inmate? I wouldn't call them prisoners. Let's respect them. So, inmates, who are in the prison. So, what is the best compliment you? I'm sure, like the way people, friends, and your family members are like, "Hey, tum prison mein ja rahi ho." How is it possible? What are the challenges there and all that. So, same way, I'm sure the inmates are also. Surprised to see somebody traveling and coming to see them, sit with them here. So, what is the best compliment you've received, or reaction you received from any of these inmates?
Most, in fact, most are like, we are very sorry for what we did. They're very apologetic, and then they want to improve. So this is what they all tell me, that please help us. Even if so like a prisoner whose conduct is very good, either it's released earlier or either goes to the open prison and then the prisoner is released. So there are certain means and mechanisms which works around if a prisoner has a good conduct or something. So they tell me that we don't want to go outside like that. We want to reform ourselves. We also want to learn an activity. That is such a positive attitude. I mean, I can't say for all the prisoners, but most, and seeing one prisoner do that, the other prisoner also is getting involved. That also happens. That happens there. So this was like one of the things where they were very apologetic and sorry for whatever crime they have committed, and eventually trying to improve and better themselves and then go out. So this is one thing I've observed.
And one of the things which I really liked is, letting them continue their passion for two reasons. We basically asking the inmates to try what they're passionate about, try things where the resources are provided by the government, or by the police. The second thing is this, if it also gives the livelihood, because when once the earning person, and most of the time it is the earning person who gets, as an inmate and, gets locked. So the income for the family is like lost. The
Yeah.
wife and kids, like, almost like they are, the only option is for them to, either commit suicide or, get married to somebody else. So this situation, you're basically ensuring he's inside, but also earning for himself and, taking care of the family. I think that equation is adding the real value, where he's
Yeah.
not only getting accepted by the society, but he's taking care of his own family.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the prison department and a lot of NGOs which are working with the prison department help him get a job. Many
Mhm.
become tailors. So the outside they'll help them get the loan so that they can open a small shop or something. So that is being done. That's definitely being done. Even some states are running scholarship for the children of the prisoners, so that even if they're inside, they can study outside. But of course, for women, the situation is not exactly the same. Be it prisons, I've also inspected a lot of psychiatric homes across the country. So the situation is not similar for women. I mean, 1% is also that I'm going to exaggerate. Not even 1% of women are there whose family comes and meets them. Not even 1%. Can you beat that? So for men, it's very different because women in institutional settings are obviously regarded as redundant because they're
Mhm.
dependent. But men are always will be thought about being winners, the protectors of the family. So for men, it's all the picture is quite rosy, but not for the women because either the women is in a psychiatric home or a custodial setting. The husband's remarried immediately. Nobody from
Mhm.
the family comes. She doesn't know where the children are. There is no legal aid help in the. That is a problem with our system. I think legal help is a very very big problem with the prison system and in general the criminal justice system. So she doesn't know when her case is there. She's languishing in the jails. Eventually, she goes mad or either tries to commit suicide or whatever. Her mental stability is no longer there. So yeah, that is something which really needs to work on, and that gap has to be filled.
Yeah, somehow, this entire, I think most of the episodes which we have are like oriented towards mental health, and, I think that is the future where, we need a lot of focus in material of with whom, we're talking about a student, or we're talking about people who are working in corporates, people in business, people in prison.
Right.
I think everywhere we have, I think, this particular challenge, and especially women, as inmates. I think, that this, I think, should be the area of focus, and looks like that is the only
Yeah,
way of life.
I believe not just prison. I think women in institutional settings need to be the area of focus. Be there in the Swadhargre, a working women hostel, or widows hostel, women where destitute women stay. All these shelter homes and institutional care settings have to be looked upon because they're just languishing there. There is
Mhm.
no vocational activity, nothing for them. So these schemes are just on the paper, but actually no development is happening. So when I worked with traffic women, why most of these girls relapse into trafficking back again? Because they're not being taught employable activities, employable skills. They're not being taught any skills. So eventually they have to go out in the society and earn. There are no criminals. There are no criminals. They have to go and earn. So this is the easiest way because most of them are not educated.
And
So
society
getting
is
into
also
the
forcing.
trade is the easiest thing for them.
Yeah, society is
So
also
that's why.
forcing, like, who gives their house for rent if it's a single woman. So, end of the day, it's like the society which is like forcing them with no option because they're single. Back to this particular mode what you're talking about. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think the
absolutely.
reform in terms of, hostels, or, paying as accommodation for single women, where they really accept them immaterial what they do. I think all they need to is, earn something and, pay their bills. So
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're in a very, I would say, different role. I'm sure you're looking at things in a very different way than what we see, rest of us see the world as.
Yes.
So, but very good cause. I think I'm sure you're like, at the end of the day, very happy and, satisfied with what you're doing, and, how you're able to make changes with, those minute reforms. I think that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, even if I'm able to move one bail application for an inmate, I think my day is made. So it's as simple as that.
You're saving lives. So,
Fully.
so Anvi, we also have some rapid fire questions because we also want to know you well. So, are you all set?
Okay. Yeah, all set.
Okay. What's one movie you could watch over and over again without getting bored?
Titanic.
Titanic? Oh, yeah, such a
Yeah.
drama, drama movie. Is it the romance angle you're looking at or the tragedy angle?
The tragedy.
Or is it just the Leonardo DiCaprio, wo hai bas kafi hai?
The tragedy. I like the tragedy thrill, sort of thrill.
Okay, what are the three fun facts about you which your friends are not aware of, or friends who just know you from outside, don't know you very closely. So three fun facts about you.
Oh yes. Okay. I'm a very good gardener. I love gardening, so I do that. I paint very well. Nobody has seen my paintings as of yet, or something of that. And then I cook very well. They just know it, but not a lot of them have had food. So yeah, these three things
Wow.
really.
So would you give Work TV an opportunity to showcase your art on our platform for the first time where people have not seen it?
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I don't have much stuff to show, but yes, it's just like a hobby. But I like painting.
Superb. And do share some of the inmates' creativities and all that. We would love to
Oh,
publish
yes,
it to
for
encourage
sure,
them.
for sure. I would love to. I would love to.
Okay. What was the biggest punishment you have ever received?
Biggest punishment have I ever received? Okay, that I have to actually
सच बोलना
think.
पड़ेगा कि हाँ तो सच बोलना पड़ेगा.
Oh, maybe yeah, waiting for somebody for like 4.5 hours.
That is horrible punishment.
Yeah, I'm sitting all alone in a room and waiting for someone for it. And it was an official, so yeah, it was even further boring.
What do you think was the most challenging part of being a kid?
Managing my parents. To be
And
honest,
why was
yes.
it so tough?
Sorry?
Why was it so tough managing your parents?
So tough because they were overprotective, I think, so that's why.
Single girl, single kid.
Yeah, so an age comes where that gaps come between what you want and what they want, and eventually that phase, that was very tough to manage.
Okay. The most fun project you have worked on.
Most fun project I've worked on. I've organized a lot of conferences and international and national conferences, so I really like doing that. So that was a lot of fun.
So so some of these conferences you try to make it as exciting and as fun filled so
Yeah,
that they don't get bored.
right from designing. Yeah, right from designing the posters to the schedule to calling people to like sitting on your seat also. So yeah, something of that sort.
So how old were you when you got your first job?
I was 25.
And what did you do with the first pay?
What did I do with my first pay? Nothing. I just kept it. I saved money.
Okay, we had somebody who did the tattoo so that wo kahin pe bhi that remembrance will be there forever.
Yes, मेरी first salary का tattoo.
How long can you go without checking your phone?
Ah, 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever really kept a New Year resolution?
Yes, always.
Always?
Always.
Okay, so you choose the
Yeah.
easiest one, is it? Okay, you basically, list down five things and, pick up the easiest one so that you can keep it.
Yeah.
No?
No, but not exactly like that. But yes, I've always had the resolution and never like maximum to maximum 1 month I could follow it and then I was like, blah, leave it.
Okay, so Anvi as a child, what are those, funny stuff, weird stuffs you've done during your childhood? Memorable stuff.
Memorable stuff. As such, I was very, very simple kid. I would like funny stuff I would do whenever my parents would like take me for an activity, like either they take me to a dance school or either a painting school. So when I went for the painting school, I said, I will not go because that man who teaches me, he sleeps off. I will not go. When I went to learn dancing, I said, oh, the floor is broken. I will not go. I can't dance on that floor. So I was little temperamental.
That is okay. See, yeah,
Otherwise, I was
people
like,
love art, learn art and all that to spread positivity through their art. But you're able to
right.
do it without, art. You're able to, do a lot of reforms yourself. See, end of the day, the result
Yeah.
is the same. What you're doing versus the artist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think somewhere or the other. This is also another form of art, you could
Mm.
say. Yes, helping out people is also, and somewhere or the other is contributing, and it's creative in its way. How you deal with people, how you talk to people, how you get to know. Because, of course, you can also imagine they were not open to everybody so easily.
True.
They will never. And, it's so difficult to understand who is right and who's wrong, who's speaking the truth and who's not.
Mm.
So it takes a lot of toll on you. So, yes, it demands a lot on yourself also.
So
A
your
lot of
best
mental presence. Yeah.
your best street food and the best place to hang out along with your friends.
I think Mumbai beaches.
Both for both, even along with
Sorry?
friends, even along with friends, same location,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bombay
I
beaches.
like I like to hang around beaches. Yeah. Or going for plays.
So who's the bestie friend who's been with you for a long journey till date?
Till date, it's my friend Varun. We've been friends since college days, so he's been always there for me. Yeah, he's been really long journey, with all the ups and downs.
Cool. Cool, and it is nice knowing you. So with all these skills, okay, we're done with the rapid fires. With all these skills, what would you do if you become the chief minister? What are the reforms you will bring?
One of the reforms I will bring first and foremost is one thing is accessibility. And of course, I would definitely like to bring criminal justice reform. But amongst all these things, making people self-reliant. Social work is not about helping people in a way to make them dependent, but to make them independent. So that
Right.
will always be my focus, to make them independent and self-reliant. That is very important. तो किसी भी दिन मतलब इंसान ऐसा ना भूखा सोए. If he has a skill, he will never sleep empty stomach. So yeah, these are the three things I would like to focus on.
Good. Very nice thought process. And I'm sure you will evolve a lot, after dealing with some of these things, helping people out, hearing challenges and trying to, I mean, what end of the day, you're also trying to find a solution for them, instead of you. So this is
Yeah,
also a healing process where you're trying to help people, not one, but many at one shot.
right,
So
right.
keep up the good work, do well in whatever you're doing. So, friends, we have Anvi here. Do connect with her. She is in a role which is not glamorous. This is not something where she can post every day saying, take a selfie saying that hi, hey, I'm with this particular prisoner or I'm with this inmate, and get praises on social media and all that. And as an individual, also she might get very less time for herself because she's traveling and getting into these activities where she cannot open up socially and talk and mingle with friend as commonly as others, most of us do. So do praise her in whatever activity she is doing, which will encourage her to take this forward in the same passion. Because when she has more friends like her friend Varun, the life makes it more exciting to do whatever we are doing well in a better format, because we have a lot of praises from friends. We have a lot of friends who are like passionate and pushing us forward. So do follow her. So that's my take, Anvi, on what you do. So thanks a lot for taking
Thank you
time
so
out. It's really honor
much.
meeting you, I would
Thank
say.
you so much. Yeah, same here, same here. And
So
thank you for providing me such a wonderful platform. And I wish WurkTV all the best. You're doing a great job.
thank you. And anything we can do to showcase or inspire people through our
Right.
platform for inmates, do let us know. We will spread the word out so
Yeah,
that we
sure.
get some cheers for them too, because they
Yeah,
also deserve it.
definitely, definitely. I should have got it today itself had I known. That's not a problem. Next time, maybe, definitely.
Yeah, and we are waiting for your hidden talent, your art to be published
Oh,
on the
yes,
platform.
sure. Definitely, definitely.
So have a great evening. God bless
Yeah,
you,
you
and
too.
we take care.
Same.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
take
friends, for
care.
joining.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.